Alright, so today we're going to learn how to form the past tense in French. And the one that we're going to look at specifically is the Passé Composé, or the composed past tense. There are actually two past tenses that we will be learning this year, so we're going to go ahead and start off with just this one. Okay, a couple of things to note. First of all, in English, we have what's called a simple past tense, and that simple just means that we only have one word. And so when we're moving into French, we're going to have to start thinking in terms of a composed past, of a past participle combined with a helping verb. They mean the exact same thing. For example, he ate is the same thing as he has eaten. It's just a different way of saying it. Same thing with I went and I have gone. Both of those give the exact same idea. Both of them express the same actions. Both of them happened in the past. It's just two different ways of saying the same sentence. In French, there will always be a helping verb in the past tense. So instead of saying he ate, in French, we are always going to use this formula here with the helping verb he has eaten. This is what's called our past participle, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, so again, I have gone. This have is our helping verb, and the gone is a past participle. So we're going to get used to that formula of a subject, a helping verb, and a past participle when we are conjugating the passé composé in French. So like I said, the three parts of the passé composé are the subject, the helping verb, and the past participle. The subject is going to be the same as it always was for the present tense. You're going to say who is completing this action, that is your subject. The helping verb, we have two options for helping verbs in French, either avoir or être. These are the only two helping verbs that we can choose from, and they're both used in very specific cases. Most of the time, you're going to use avoir. The third part is your past participle, and this is what actually tells you what happened in the past. For example, in the sentence, I have eaten, the verb eaten, that past participle tells you what you did, right? Because just saying I have doesn't give you any idea of what happened. So I have eaten, we're going to find the past participle for the verb manger, because manger is to eat. Now, past participles can be regular or irregular. Regular just means it follows a pattern. Irregular means it does not follow the pattern, so you have to memorize those on your own. So how do we choose a helping verb? I've already told you that the first option is avoir, and the second option for helping verb is être. So what you need to know is that être is only used for Dr. and Mrs. P. Vanderkamp verbs, which we'll get to those later. It's just an acronym that helps you memorize which 17 verbs follow être as a helping verb, and also any type of reflexive verbs. So anytime you see that se, you're going to use être as your helping verb. So an example of this is in the verb se couper. If I want to say I cut myself, we're going to conjugate être in the present tense. So we're going to say je, and we're going to say suis. We're going to keep this reflexive pronoun. It's going to turn into me. And then we're going to add the past participle for couper is coupé, like that. Okay, je me suis coupé. Now we'll get to the past participle in a little bit. Don't worry about that right now. But what I want to show you is that because the se couper is reflexive, this helping verb right here is going to be être. Everything else, so everything that does not follow under Dr. and Mrs. Vanderkamp or reflexive verbs is going to use avoir as your helping verb. Okay, one little note is helping verbs, you're going to conjugate those in the present tense. Okay, so je suis is the present for être. If I said j'ai mangé, okay, this j'ai, this avoir, is conjugated in the present tense for je. Oops, sorry about that. Let's see it. There we are. So, j'ai mangé, we've got the present tense of avoir, and then we've got our past participle for the verb manger, and that tells you what you've done in the past. Okay, so what the heck is a past participle then? So the past participle is just the form of the verb that gives its action in the past. And normally in English it ends with ed. So for example, to like, the past participle is liked. I liked. To play is played. Some of them in English are irregular. For example, to eat becomes eaten, not eated, right? So this is the past participle. It gives you what the action was, but indicates that it happened already. It's in the past, it is already finished. So how do we actually form the past participles? If a past participle is a form of the verb, then we're going to take the infinitive. We have to change it somehow, and that's going to give us the past participle. But how do we do that? One thing to note is that the past participle is not a conjugation because it does not change depending on the subject. So the past participle stays the same. What changes is your helping verb. Okay, and so there are two types of past participles. There are regular and irregular. Regular just means that there's a pattern. We love regular past participles because they follow a really easy pattern. Irregular means there is no pattern. We're going to have to learn those individually, but don't worry about that right now. I'll give you guys the list later and we'll go ahead and we'll get there when we get there. For right now, let's go ahead and focus on the regular past participles. So the pattern goes like this. An ER verb is going to end in an E with an accent aigu. For example, parler, we're going to turn into parler. Okay, an IR verb is going to end in I. So finir is going to end in fini. And then RE is going to end in U. So vendre, remember this, to sell, is going to become vendu. So those are the regular patterns for the past participles. Now, an important thing to clarify is that just because a verb is regular in the present tense does not mean that it's going to be regular in the past tense, and vice versa. A verb that is irregular in the present tense might have a regular past participle. So when we're talking regular and irregular, I'm going to say, does it have an irregular or regular past participle? Not is it just an irregular verb. Because an irregular verb, again, we've only talked about the present tense up until now, but now we've got to start differentiating and making a distinction between the different tenses. Okay, so let's go ahead and put together a sentence. I'm going to walk you through this one first. So in the sentence, I have finished. Okay, this is a past sentence because the finished is already completed. Okay, and we've got a subject, we have a helping verb, and we have a past participle. Even if the sentence only said I finished, again, it means the same thing. When we're converting it into French, you have to remember to put in that helping verb. So we're going to start with the subject, I. I is the one doing the action, therefore I is the subject. So we're going to start with je. Now the helping verb here, have. Okay, finish is not Dr. Mrs. Vandertramp and it is not reflexive, therefore it's going to use avoir as a helping verb. So the conjugation for avoir is a, avant, avait, on. So we're going to go find the conjugation for avoir for je, it's a. So we're actually going to take off this e, we're going to make it je because it starts with a vowel. So now we have our subject and our helping verb, and we just need our past participle. The verb to finish is finir. And we just said the IR verbs go to I, so it's going to become fini. So we're going to put that after your helping verb, and it's going to become j'ai fini. I have finished. So that is the entire sentence, that is the entire process. Every time you have a past sentence with the passé composé, you need to make sure that you have a subject, have a helping verb, and have a past participle. If you don't have all three, you don't have the passé composé. Okay, so let's get some examples that are going from French to English. So I've given you 4 sentences. What I'm going to have you guys do is read the sentences and try and figure out for yourself what each of these mean. There are going to be some questions embedded into the video where I'm going to ask you what each sentence is saying. These questions, they're not high pressure. It's just for me to see what you're understanding at this point. So in the sentence, j'ai mangé la pizza. Okay, so we have a subject, a helping verb, and a past participle. Okay, I'm going to underline all of the past participles because remember, that's actually what tells you what happened. Okay, so what do you think j'ai mangé la pizza means? The second one, tu as regardé le film. Again, this tells you what happened. Il a choisi le tennis. Or, nous avons fondu le fromage. So in those 4 sentences, what do you think each of those mean? And then what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you try and put a sentence together on your own. So in this sentence, you finished the test. What do you think "you finished the test" would be in the Passé Composé? Okay, notice that up here we've got subject, helping verb, past participle, but down here it just looks like a subject and a past participle. Remember that that's because in English we use a simple past, not a composed past. So you're going to have to put in that helping verb have. So you have finished the test. What do you think that is in French? Go ahead and put what you think in the question box that you see.